everything's doing pretty well considering, you know, the up and down season that we're having. You know, you win some, you lose some. I've just pulled up some beetroot that's bolted. There you can see the purple Ukraine, and they are such a lovely looking tomato, and I think these are about ready. Let's have a look. You just feel it's soft. What a lovely tomato. I love the look of these blue fire, but my goodness, they're a slow tomato. Nowhere near ready yet. Akron, really nice salad tomato. Been a bit disappointing this year. Usually produces much more, but the tomatoes generally in the greenhouse have been a bit sorry for themselves. And I think it might be something to do with that big ash tree. You know, over the last couple of years it's put on a lot of growth, and where those branches are now, I used to get sunshine. The check wax are beginning to colour up, and if you can spot that, and the Turkish Delight is beginning to go orange, so that'll go red next. There's the little patchy bonsai, full of buds, and those will be going red soon too. The jalapeno hasn't produced a pod yet, but I'll overwinter it, so it's going to get a head start next year. And this is my mutant Apache. If you watched a previous video, you'll know that I'm not sure what's going on here. It was a saved seed. Apache is an F1, so this makes this an F2. So that's unstable, but I don't think that's a throwback to an Apache. I think it could well have crossed. Absolutely no idea what I'm doing with corn. First time growing it. I watched a couple of videos. Funny really. I watched 3 videos and they're almost word perfect. I'm now going to say virtually the same thing and explain when I think they're ready to harvest. These tassels, these are kind of like the flower tassels that carry the pollen. And these are the silks. And these are the parts that are pollinated to create a corn kernel. Here we've got some light coloured silk. They're really silky and fine when they first appear. The idea is the pollen drops off of the tassels down onto those silks. So apparently you're looking for the silks to go brown and dry. That's pretty brown. But then the other thing you need to do is to feel it. And they grow up from the bottom. So yeah, it's really firm down there, tapering to the top, but when they're nearly ready, they go more sort of blunt. Well, that ends there. That ends there, so it didn't fulfill its potential. It's got about a finger's length of extra growing it could have done, but I'm thinking that's ready. So in terms of harvesting, you just pull it off. There we go. I shall be devastated if I've picked it too early. So that's how much I'm feeling. They're very light coloured, but I've not grown this variety before, so I'm not really sure what colour they should be. One of the ways you test, apparently, another way to test if it's ripe is you get a thumbnail midway down and you squeeze. You see that? You're looking for a milky substance to come out. If it's clear, it's got a bit more growing to do. Darn it, I picked my corn and it wasn't quite ripe. I should have really tried to peel it back a little bit and test it. it could be a lot sweeter than this. So if the liquid's clear when you push a nail into it, it's got some more ripening to do. If it's milky, that's what you're looking for it to be milky. But apparently you only have a couple of days before it goes past the milky stage. So there's a bit of an art to harvesting corn. I watched one video that suggested you needed to put your water on to boil before you harvested your corn, and then you had to run with your corn to get it in the water, because they're a bit like peas and the sugar very quickly turns to carbs. Actually, I might pop this into the freezer and that will halt it and keep its freshness. Don't know if you recognise this. This is from the Secret Garden and strawberry planter, but I've had salad crops growing in it. Well, there's just a real feel, there's a real feel of autumn in the air. So I've decided to pull it all up, replant it up into the Polytunnel with the hope of getting a continued harvest of salad crops way into the autumn, hopefully maybe winter. I tried transplanting out some lettuce about 3 weeks ago outside, and it just didn't amount to anything. The weather's just been a little bit too sort of damp, cold and windy, and I guess anything that did make it, the slugs probably got. So I've got some Morton's Magic Mix lettuce that I've been growing on in the potting shed, and it's gone a bit far for transplanting, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Gonna give it a go. Try and separate it up and pot it up. I'm not doing anything special with the soil, I'm just going with the soil that was already in there. I'm going to try and bury these lettuce reasonably deep. You know, I've had success planting on leggy lettuce like this before. So I've got some lettuce to pop in here. I'm going to overplant it to account for any that aren't going to take. Snip off some of the leaves, give it half a chance. I'll bury it as deep as I can. And I saw a little trick whereby, I can't remember whether it was Mr. Greenfinger's Digwell or somebody else, but suggested, you know, when you bury it, you can also lay it down and pull it up. So I'm going to try laying the root down because this is so leggy, and get it into the ground that way. Right, 2 down. Also got some coriander. I don't have a lot of luck growing coriander earlier in the year, it bolts really quickly. But I believe now is a good time to grow coriander, so we'll give that a go. It's all planted up. I've got 3 in each of the little round sections and 1 in the middle at the top. I'm just going to use some of the seed compost mix just to give it a bit of a top up. It's amazing how resilient plants are. I mean, I have a theory, the more you abuse them as seedlings, the more grateful they are when they get a final planting position, and very often they seem to do really well straight off the bat. You will see. These are the carrots. Remember the suck it and see carrots? Or a number of videos back now. Really old seed. I didn't know whether it'd take. Well, it's doing really well. Well, you may have noticed I've been experimenting with some live events, and you may see them keep popping up if you're a subscriber. I'm testing out my equipment, trying to prepare really, just in case one day I want to do or schedule a live event. I'm just practicing. I'm thinking in winter, when we can't get out in the garden much, it might be nice to do some live events, so I'm practicing now. I can do a few live events, kind of, God, do you remember what it was like to garden? Well, That's it for this episode. Take care. See you next time.